All right. Hello, good evening, everyone. I think there are some more people yet to join. But until they join, we'll start off with the introductory video and we'll possibly start off with the session in another couple of minutes.
वेलकम टू अपना कम्युनिटी। ये वो जगह है जहां आप अपने असली पोटेंशियल को एक्सप्लोर कर सकते हैं। देखो, सबके पास स्किल्स होते हैं, पर क्या आपके अंदर वो स्पार्क है जो आपको कामयाबी की ऊंचाइयों तक ले जा सकता है? अगर आप सोच रहे हैं जॉब चेंज करने के लिए लेकिन रेज्यूमे सेलेक्ट नहीं हो रहा या फिर इंग्लिश में इंटरव्यू देना थोड़ा चैलेंजिंग लग रहा है, तो फिक्र मत कीजिए। यहां हम हैं आपके साथ, आपको सपोर्ट करने के लिए। अपना कम्युनिटी में आपको मिलेगी बेहतरीन कम्युनिटीज जहां आप अपने प्रोफेशनल स्किल्स को सुधार सकते हैं। चाहे आप एक्सेल, टैली, जीएसटी में माहिर बनना चाहें या फिर आप खुद एक ब्यूटिशियन या डिजाइनर हैं, तो यहां आप अपने काम को शोकेस करके दूसरों को टिप्स एंड ट्रिक्स देते हुए आगे बढ़ सकते हैं। अपना कम्युनिटी में आपको मिलेगा मेंटर्स का एक खजाना और बड़े इन्फ्लुएंसर्स का साथ जो आपको हर कदम पर 1-to-1 गाइड करेंगे। यहां आप ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं अपने फील्ड या इंडस्ट्री स्पेसिफिक ग्रुप्स, जहां आपको ऐसे कई लोग मिलेंगे जिनसे सीख के आप वो गलती ना करें जो वो कर चुके हैं। ऐसे लोगों की जिन्होंने स्टार्ट किया था एज एग्जीक्यूटिव्स एंड आर नाउ सक्सेसफुल मैनेजर्स इन देयर डोमेन्स, जो आपको आगे बढ़ाने में मदद करेगा। यहां आपको मिलेगा वो सही डायरेक्शन जो आपकी करियर को नेक्स्ट लेवल ले जाएगा। तो लेट्स अनलॉक योर पोटेंशियल टुगेदर। अपना कम्युनिटी में ज्वाइन करें और अपने सपनों की ऊंचाइयों तक पहुंचने का सफर शुरू करें।
Awesome. Just a minute before I start. Great. Thank you again. Thank you everyone for joining. My name is Rohan. I'm one of the co-founders of QFirst, which is a mentorship platform, and we support Apna with the mentorship requirements for Apna Exclusives. And Apna Exclusives is a community engagement program. We have been doing this for quite some time now, happening at 7 p.m. on weekdays and 3 p.m. on weekends. Main idea is to help people ideate and advance in their professional careers. We are covering a wide range of topics for the last couple of months. The topics can be as simple as spoken English, any technical related subjects like technology, data science, or functional skills as well. And today we have Prakar with us, who's a senior member of technical staff at Salesforce, and who will be taking us through the navigating a career in cloud computing skills and opportunity works. Prakar, there are people joining in. You can start off session. We have 200 registrations as of today for this session. So we can start as of now, and we'll see how people join in, and we can take it up from there.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Rohan.
Thanks, Prakar.
Um, yeah, so let's get this session started. First, a little bit background about me. So, my name is Prakhar, and I have around 8-9 years of experience in software industry. I've been working with a lot of big techs like Salesforce, where I'm currently working. I've been part of Red Hat community as well. I was a senior engineer in Red Hat as well. And I've been working since beginning of my career in the cloud related technologies, cloud ecosystem. I have contributed a lot of things in open source as well, specifically with Red Hat. So today in today's session, I'll be talking about a little bit about the careers in cloud computing and how can you go for a career or what different type of skill set that you might require. If you are feeling a little bit lost, I'll take an Q&A session at the end, or if you have any questions, you can just drop that in our chat box. I'll take it up. So let's start the conversation. Actually, I have uh, let me share my screen. So what I'll do, I'll share my slides. So these slides will help me to direct this conversation in a right structured manner. So one second. So there we go. So like I said, we'll be discussing a little bit about the cloud computing, what that is, what different skill set that you might need to have as a basic requirement, or things in where you can get knowledge and things around how it is, like what is the future trend, how the market looks as of now in IT domain and software engineering domain. So let's get started. So, to talk a little bit about the cloud computing, I'll be just touching base on this. I'm sure most of us are being familiar about the AWS and Google Cloud, Azure of Microsoft. So, the cloud computing is basically on-demand availability of computing resources. So, when I see computing resources, it could be anything like storage, compute. There could be some queuing services, or they can be like analytic systems like OpenShifts, or a lot of different variants of big data solutions, things like that. So it comes in different models like IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. So basically, IaaS is basically infrastructure as service, where you will see in cloud computing domain we have AWS, which is provided from Amazon. Azure is from Microsoft, and Google Cloud is basically from Google. So these are the infrastructure bits where basically these three companies in majority sense provides a foundations for cloud computing. It means that suppose you want to run a software, right? You created an application or you created a website. So for that backend, you don't need to go to it and buy servers from the hosting companies. You can just create your on-demand computing resources on AWS or Azure. So second is PaaS, which is platform as service. So you might see a lot of different companies offering that. Salesforce is one of them, which basically gives you a platform to build more apps like Heroku, which basically you can use to build websites or host websites. SaaS, I think it's very common. SaaS is any service which is provided, any software which is provided as software. So basically, what it means, like Netflix. Ideally, when it think about in a technical terms, it's a software streaming service which is provided as to the end user as a subscription, right? So we are basically providing a software as a service. Spotify is another example. Amazon videos, things like that. So the cloud computing journey begins. So in past, like in the time frame of 2011 to 2015, we didn't have that term as cloud computing. At that time, if anyone wants to build software, they have to buy expensive piece of servers, expensive piece of networking equipment. So the rise of cloud computing started from a point where people thought like if we want to build softwares, we shouldn't invest in hardware. There has to be something like a service or a platform where people can build these softwares without much more complexity, adding cost efficiency and agility. So in today's world, a lot of things, lot of softwares, website that we access on our internet, on our Android apps, Apple phones. These are somewheres and some point like these are might be touching the cloud computing fragments and bits and pieces. So the key to digital transformation came from the cloud computing. It became very accessible for a person to build softwares, to host websites, and to basically get their user connected to them very easily. And this also provided a bit of scalability. Now we don't have to think about like if we are designing a software for, let's say, 100,000 customers, we don't have to think about like if we how can we support 2 million customers, right? It's just off that you just switch on the scalability features in cloud, in AWS or Azure. It's right out of the box. You don't have to do capacity plannings like you will not go into buying more servers, buying more network equipment, right? You can just host your service to AWS, pay them whatever the fee that might require, but that get you an out of box functionality for scalability as well as cost efficiency. So let's suppose that you are building some softwares, right? And there is initially there used to be an initial investment like buying a server. That hardware piece costs in couple of $1,000, stretching out to millions. These networking equipments are quite costly, right? But nowadays you can just build your application, Android app or a website. You can host a website with minimal charges, and it includes a cost efficiency perspective into the equation. So this is just a general trend, like what cloud computing is. In a very layman's term, if I have to say, um, what is cloud computing? It's someone else computer. Like it's usually coined in the IT industry. What is cloud computing in a very general term? It's someone else computer where we pay them a rent, kind of rent, to use their computing resources. That could be anything like CPU or memory storage, things like that. So I see that someone raised a hand. Yeah, go ahead, Kamini. You have a question? Okay, no problem. If you have a question, you can just drop that in chat box. I'll take it at the end or at the middle of this presentation. So let's talk about the opportunity that are present in cloud computing. So as you see, like within an software industry, within an IT, there are different tons of roles that people might be interested. That could be into security, or that could be into enterprise software development, things like that. Support role, technical support roles, TAMs, basically these kind of. So these roles also exist in cloud computing domain as well. So cloud computing is acting as a broader domain, and there are different careers roles that you can think of applying, or that you can think of pursuing at the very beginning. If you are a fresher, or if you are a straight early profession, like you have been passed out from your college for like 1 or 2 years, you can think of moving your career in a right trajectory to get the skill set that is required to make you're successful in make yourself successful in the cloud computing domain. So some of the career roles that you can find in cloud computing domain, that you will find on LinkedIn, that you will find on Naukri portal, things like that. So career roles are basically, if I have to segregate these, first are basically the engineers, developers, which basically writes those code, whatever the requirement is. So those folks basically write the softwares, the coding perspective, testing, and things like that. Cloud architects is a much more refined role, which you will see as your experience grow in the cloud computing. You can pivot your career direction into an architects, which basically thinks about a solution and write documents, write architecture diagrams, and come up with the different architecture, come up with different strategy to accomplish a goal, to think about the problem statement and coming up with the solutions. So these people are basically well experienced in these kind of cloud computing technologies. They have much more. It's kind of like a generalist role, not a specialized role. It's a generalist role, so they have knowledge base spanning out to multi clouds. Like they must be proficient in AWS, Azure, and things like that. Another role that you can think of making your career in DevOps, which basically the operation sides of a software. So basically, if I have to put it in very layman's term, what happens after you build your software and basically release it to the customers? The operation sides comes into the play, where you will be supporting your customers with the queries, with the issues, as well as you are making sure that your software is reaching and getting new versions of your software is getting deployed correctly, so that people are able to use new features, things like that. Security also comes into this aspect. Like it's a pretty important piece of puzzle, where a lot of companies, a lot of early startups ignore the security. So cloud security engineers basically handles the security parts, how your software is vulnerable to a security, how your software is resilient towards any threat like DDoS, these kind of threats. Next role is basically engineers, engineering managers, product owners, and TAM. These are kind of well-defined roles which you will see in your career at the later stage, when you reach 5+ or 8+ years of experience, where you'll see managers who are basically well versed in cloud computing domain, product owners and technical account managers who basically get the requirements from customers and push it to like the development teams and so on. So there are a lot of different growth areas within the cloud computing. It can be hybrid or multi-cloud, cloud-native development. So multi-cloud is basically when you have a skill set where you are comfortable with different types of cloud computing environments. That could be AWS or Azure. Hybrid is basically the mix of the older technologies and the newer technologies. So it means that you are comfortable with the older technologies, like how the softwares were built earlier, where they have to use the hardware piece or networking components, things like that. Uh, Most of the growth areas as of now lies around the AI ML, which is kind of hype these days, where you will see that a lot of AI ML workloads getting pushed into cloud computing. That means that whenever you train your model, you basically training your model on a particular using particular cloud like AWS, which gives you out of box capabilities to train your model, things like that. Edge computing is another growth area, which is basically related to the IoT, Internet of Things, which is you will see like smart TVs, smart refrigerators, things like that, Raspberry Pi. These for these all the processing that once you collect your data from the sensors or any IoT device, you can process this data in the cloud, do some analytics, and then show it to your user. That could be anything from related from a simple Fitbit watch to a smart refrigerator or things like that. Um, any question till now? Yeah, Manisha, I see that you have raised your hand. Okay. If you have, okay. I see a couple of questions in the chat box, but I'll take it after covering a little bit more in depth. Let's take it forward. So different skill set that is required for successful career in cloud computing. So this particular presentation is focused on the technical skills as well as soft skill, and I will guide you like how, if you are not from technical background, what particular things that you should be doing. So a little bit talking about the core technical skills, like if you are from BCA background or bachelor's in engineering, BTech, BE from computer science engineering, you must be familiar with the AWS, Azure, Google Cloud platforms. So any core skill that is related to these cloud providers will be helpful to pivot your career in a right direction for cloud computing domain. But not necessarily. I don't expect, like, if you are an early profession or if you are still in college, I don't expect you to be very proficient in these technologies, because these technologies will take a couple of years at least to master. So it's easier to take a step by step approach to figure out like what things I like, and then start thinking in that direction. So you should some of the more core technical skills require some bit of knowledge about the Docker and Kubernetes, which is basically used for deploying stuff on the cloud like AWS, Azure, or Google. Scripting and automation, basically it relates to Python, Bash, and Terraform. Terraform is used to basically create these hardware components on the cloud. Python and Java can be used as a software basic primitive language, that where you can use these languages to write softwares and then expose it to the cloud computing or to deploy that on that environment. Cloud security and DevOps tools. So there are a bunch of cloud security tools as well. One that comes to my mind is Datadog, which is basically a scanner which scans your software and gives you all the vulnerabilities, what is lacking in your software, and these things are vulnerable, things like that. And there are a bunch of DevOps tools as well, like Jenkins, that is like on the top of my head. Jenkins is one of the popular tools which is basically used to deploy your software on that cloud computing environment. So some of the soft skill, I think soft skill are necessary for any job, uh, but you have to be a positive, you have to be in a positive attitude, problem solving attitude, and collaboration. You should be in good at collaborating with different types of people. So I think that is I think said, like the soft skill are the backbone for any technical competency, because you will be dealing with a lot of different teams within your organization if you intend to join one. So these things and soft skills comes into the play as well. So Let's talk about how to get started in cloud technologies. So first, let me take this, like this is like a very valid question for a lot of us today. So let me address for the folks who have the technical background. Then I'll address the folks who have non-technical background. For technical background folks who have who are already in engineering colleges, or who have inclination towards learning about the IT and software industry. So easy thing would be to get yourself build some application, demo application, contribute to open source, right? Basically expose whatever you have built on GitHub so that it will look good on your resume. Read about the blogs, podcasts, join communities, different communities that are there online. So you will be updated with these new and up and coming trends for the folks who are basically from the non-technical background. So what you can do, since cloud computing is quite vast and it has bunch of technologies, so I would suggest, like, if you are an early profession or if you are still in college, who are not from the technical background, you can make your way into cloud domain through certification. That could be anything from AWS, Azure, or GCP, which is basically Google Cloud. So what these certification do is basically they have couple of different levels. So it will start from beginner certification, then there is intermediate, and then there is advanced. So if you are from non-technical background, you should definitely take a beginner course or certification. Try to learn through those certification, because these certification will teach you about ins and out about the cloud platform like AWS, Azure, or GCP, right? So I think the ideal approach would be to learn about the certification, and if you find some of interest there, you can enroll yourself and clear an exam. So every certification is basically clearing learning about the things and then clearing an exam, which will make you certified, like if you are AWS certified developer, things like that. So it will give you a nice boost on your resume that you have already cleared some sort of certification in that technical background. So it will give you some kind of boost on your resume, that when the recruiter reach out to you, they see like, okay, you have little bit idea about the AWS, so it might be a plus point for your resume. So let's talk about the some of the question that I'm seeing. So Abhinash Mishra says, like, belong from non-technical background. Okay, so I think to answer Avinash, his query is like he belongs from the non-technical background and still wants to make a career out of cloud technology. So he's thinking about like what he should do, and whether what kind of job that he can target to. So like I said, maybe start with some bit of certification, I would say, ideally. And if you don't like to go in the certification route, what you can do is basically go through the lot of different tutorials on YouTube, as well as a lot of learning platform has those tutorials related to the cloud computing and AWS. Try to go through them first and see like whether it piques your interest or not. I don't want to directly tell you to go through the certification directly, because at the end you have to do it, and you need to find your interest as well. So the first step is to check out different types of YouTube tutorials. See like whether you fit in some of these category, like you fit or you have some interest in that cloud domain. Once you are you are knowing sure, like, yes, I want to make the career out of in the cloud computing domain, you can try with the certification. That will give you a resume boost. So I think like that's the first two steps that you should take ideally. Okay, another question from Asha. Can BCom? Yes, absolutely. Uh, yeah, so like I said, BCom also falls into the non-technical background. Yes, you can also make like a career out of in the cloud domain. Basically, you need to find your interests, like what interests you, and then once you have little bit knowledge about it, I don't want to say like go directly to the certification. Rather, first try it out online. see some tutorials, and then go through the certification. That will get you certified, and it will be a plus boost on your resume that will get the recruiters take notice. Okay, yeah, I think Fatima also says in the same direction, like that they are from the non-technical background and they want to switch a career in IT sector. Okay, yeah, same like I think the consensus here is like most of us are from the non-technical background, right? So the consensus is basically to check out what different technologies that you can learn. So this presentation is basically to give you a brief about this and what are different steps that you might be willing to take. So let's move on. So how does the future like job market and future outlook looks for the cloud computing? So within our IT industry, right, in the specifically the software development and quality assurance and DevOps kind of industry, the cloud computing domain has been a evergreen domain. I wouldn't say like it's up and down. It's constant statics. That means that every time someone or some company wants to build a new piece of feature or a software, they are hiring for a lot of folks who have technical skill sets in cloud platforms like AWS, Azure, things like that, right? So the job market is kind of evergreen for us in the cloud computing domain. That means that you will find a lot of opportunities, and these opportunities not like they will dip. It's constant. So you will find a lot of companies asking like whether to you in their job requirement or eligibility criteria, they will be asking like whether you are proficient in AWS or you know a little bit about the cloud technologies, things like that. So the trend is basically 90% of enterprises use cloud computing here and there. That means that a lot of big techs, starting from Oracle, Microsoft, Google, these companies, and a lot of mid-tier companies as well, all these companies basically use cloud computing in some form or another. That means that a company might be using AWS somewhere, they might be using Azure, Microsoft Azure, or Google Cloud. So it's mix and match. So I also want to highlight that it's not like different clouds. So once you learn about, like in the previous slide, I say AWS, Azure, or GCP. So I don't want to stress like these are not three different separate things. Once you learn about AWS, you are basically good to go with Azure or GCP. That means that once you learn about a cloud platform such as AWS, you are good to go with Azure and GCP, because all these technology, the foundations of all these cloud providers stays the same. That means it's like you're learning one thing and you are automatically proficient in others as well. So it's like that. So talking about the demands, going back, demand is basically 90% of enterprises, lot of mid tiers and companies are using cloud computing, and they need professionals who have good skill set. That could be anything starting from a cloud engineer, right? Which is basically a software engineer who deals with cloud computing technologies. That could be a DevOps, which basically handles the operation sides of things, right? So the demand is kind of evergreen. So you will find a lot of opportunities on LinkedIn and Naukri portal that companies do demand like some experience about cloud computing or some proficiency in that. Talking a little bit about the salaries, I think generally the trend is like once you are into the IT and software industry, you have to continuously keep learning about new stuff. So generally, as you might have known, like the salaries are kind of high for IT folks. So I would say like the cloud computing bit gets you higher salaries as well. Like if you are proficient in multiple technology, that's like the golden in our industry. Like a person knowing 10 different technologies is very like very sought after and in high demand. So now this is like the current state. Let's talk about the future trends, right? Uh, right now we are in an area of AI and ML, which is artificial intelligence and machine learning, right? And these areas keep on growing. right? So AI ML is also backed by a lot of cloud computing stuff. That means it's not a separate domain altogether. Think about cloud computing as a foundations where basically these new areas like AI ML works. That means that if you are into AI ML, having some bit of experience with cloud computing provider or cloud provider will help you boost your resume or get you more job converted. There are a lot of different trends like 5G, IoT. IoT is basically Internet of Things. Basically, all these different areas have the common foundation, which is cloud computing. So it's like the bare bone, and it's like the foundations of software industry, where if you are proficient in AWS or any cloud provider per se, will get a lot of benefits and a lot of recruiter reaching out to you. So that's a little bit about the market trends and future outlook. Any questions at this point? Okay. So if you're not comfortable speaking up, you can just write your question in the side chat, and I'll take it. Okay. Uh, Manisha, I'm not sure about your question, but it's kind of vague. Maybe try rephrasing it. Okay. So, like I said, I think most of the questions which I'm seeing here is from the non-technical background, which is fine, I think. Just to reiterate, like what I've said before, that for the non-technical folks here, like if you are from the different background like commerce or like I said, like different backgrounds which are not particularly related to the software industry, you can still make your career into IT industry. And I think the good cloud computing is a good stepping stone, like stepping point where you can start learning different stuff because it involves multiple technologies. You just need to find your way, what to learn. Like you can start with the AWS, where basically you can start going through the tutorials over internet, YouTube or blog posts, where you will figure out a little bit about what AWS is, which is a cloud provider, and it has multiple services within it. So once you have a little bit idea about the cloud providers, you can start with the certification, which will give you a stepping point where you can start your learning journey towards achieving that certification. So these certification usually comes in three flavors, ideally. One is for beginner, second is for intermediate, and then is for advanced. So if since you are starting, like if you are starting, and it should be like the beginner level, which is basically you will get some material or you will study about or that certification and then give an exam, and once you pass an exam, this will give you a certified, like you are AWS certified developer or AWS certified solution architect, things like that. And this certification will help you convert a lot of different, like once you mention your certificate on your resume, it will hopefully convert a lot of job opportunity for you. So I think it's one of the good way to start entering into the cloud computing domain if you want to. Kamini said, okay, yeah, okay, that's fine. You're from technical domain, I think, then it must be much more familiar to like what we are covering here. And yeah, so like anything you want to uh, like ask about, or you are confused about different things, let me know. Okay, okay, sure. So just to reiterate back to the older, see how to shape our answers while giving cloud. Uh, I'm not sure. Okay, how to shape our answers while giving cloud interview. Okay, I think that's part of soft skill. Shaping your answers while giving an interview. I think that's a generalized question, not specifically for cloud interview per se. But the idea here is that you need to first think about the question first. You don't jump to the answer, I would say. Think about the question first and then start working through the solution in your mind briefly, I would say, and then start talking about bits and pieces that you are thinking to your interviewer. So if a question is like what is AWS, so you think a bit about it before answering, and then you can say like, okay, AWS is a simple cloud provider, which basically a core component of cloud computing, which can be used to build different applications, software services, things like that. So that you can go about thinking about the shaping your answers. Mostly in technical interviews, I would say mostly they dig about the specifics, like what you have done so far now. And if your resume, if you are a technical person and if your resume has some bit of contribution to open sources, or whether you have built an application or a website, you can basically put them in your resume as like the hobby projects or like the area that you have explored. GitHub is one of the good platform where you can just push your code to show everyone like what have you coded or what different website that you have built. So I think adding that pointers into your resume will shine your resume, and it will give you a lot of opportunities. Like because recruiters these days search for these kind of skill sets. Like a person who is applying to a particular job posting, they have some sort of background. If they are not proficient, that's fine, but they have little bit background about these things. So that means that you showcase your work to them. That means that could be adding a hobby project. Like suppose you have built a website, so adding that link of your website on your resume, or posting that whatever website you have built on GitHub, which is an online hosting platform for your code. This will give you a nice touch in your resume. Plus, it will make your resume look good and will get you much more job opportunity converted. Uh, okay. Any more questions up till now? I think most of it, which I've already covered. Skill sets, basically, you require different types of skill set. Like if you are proficient in, like if you want to make your career out of DevOps, you can think about looking into the Dockers and Kubernetes. But if you But like the prerequisite is basically you should be familiar with the AWS. That means that you have to be little bit you have to know a little bit about the what AWS is, what different services are, things like that, and that you can search online. There are a lot of different free courses that people teach, and which you can take a look as well. Apart from that, if you are comfortable, like once you have found your like groove, I would say, then you can start looking into the certification path, where basically if you're an early profession or if you are still in college or a fresher, that you can think about looking into that certification, which will give you a nice boost. Plus it will boost your confidence as well. Like you are proficient in particular technology that looks good, and that you can add on to your resume, and it will show them like that you are serious about pursuing a career with a particular company, or you have a little bit background about that technology, things like that. So I think we reached the end of the presentation as of now. So in a summary, cloud technologies and cloud computing related technologies are kind of backbone for IT industries and software engineering, especially, and it has vast amount of career opportunities. You will not see that you will actually see these kind of technologies being mentioned in the job opportunity postings as well, whether it is LinkedIn or a Naukri portal or wherever. You see a lot of companies asking for these kind of security, like these kind of skill sets, which are somewhat related to cloud computing. So yeah, so I would say like if you want to start right now, that's the best time. I would say, where you can start looking around, uh, taking a tutorial from YouTube, where you will get it will get you started somehow. And once you find your groove, once you find your interest, like yes, this is comfortable to me, and I want to pursue my career in the cloud computing technology, then think about taking a certification, be it AWS, Azure, or anything. Okay, uh, that's pretty much all from me, and I'm hoping like people ask questions. Like if you have any kind of doubts, come online, unmute yourself, or whether post on the side chat. I can take those questions.
Thanks, Prahar. Thank you for the session. There are quite a few questions on the chat box already, so I think you can take one by one.
Yeah, I think some of them are addressed.
Yeah.
Most of them are from in the same journal consensus, like if they are from the non-technical background, which I iterated, like if you are from non-technical background, it does not mean that you can't jump into the software industry. It means that it will be harder, but if you push through and if you find the right resources, whether it is like joining a class or just going through the YouTube tutorial and then applying for like doing a certification and working through yourself to a certification, I think that would be the best part. And it is it's like I said, it's kind of evergreen domain where you will find a lot of job opportunities on LinkedIn, which has some bit of relation with the cloud computing. You will find like we need engineers, we need DevOps who are proficient in a particular cloud technologies. So I think that's the way to go.
Right.
Yeah. Any more questions?
I think we'll wait for another 5 to 10 minutes for any questions to come up. People, you can unmute yourself as well if you want to ask any questions or put out in the chat box. We have enough time for Q&A.
Yeah, right.
So meanwhile, I'll put out a feedback form on the chat box. Whoever is available online, request you to please take up the feedback form, which will help us improve the sessions.
Yeah.
And in case you need access to the recordings, I also put in a link where you can register yourself and get access to all the recordings of all the sessions.
Great. So so I'm open for questions, guys. If you have any questions around cloud related technologies or understanding on how to pursue your career into cloud computing, just write it on the chat side chat if you're not comfortable and muting yourself. Um,
Yeah, there is a question
yeah.
on the chat box.
Okay. So okay. Yeah. Final year CSE student learning cloud and ML, which is great. What would you advise me to enhance here? Okay, I think since you are final year, you might be aware about a lot of cloud computing related stuff, and I see that you have added ML, machine learning, which is also good. So if you are comfortable about cloud computing, I would say like since you are a technical from technical background, if you feel like you are comfortable with cloud different like cloud technologies, I would say try to build some projects around it. Like that could be a small application, a small website, or an application which can be hosted on AWS. Like if you are building a particular website, you can host it on AWS, or if you have built any kind of software tool or a script that people can use, basically push your code onto GitHub. That means that you will showcase your work, whatever you have done, be it as a hobby or be it as like if you are copying from someone that you have taken this idea from this person and then you are enhancing to different level or adding more features to it. That's also great. I mean, that's fine. I mean, you can take some bit of help from your peers or from your whatever the person that may be. You can post these code on the GitHub. add it on your resume that yes, I have done this project. So these kind of things will help you to enhance your learning, as well as it will help you to showcase what you have learned and basically give you a advantage over others, like about the project that you have done, and you can add those into your resume. So what it will do, it will create more opportunities for you, because these days recruiters want something different, right? There are tons of engineers out there. So what's different in you? So basically you need to showcase your work, right? So that you can do. Second, if you are still like, if you have already done that, maybe basically try with different certification if you feel like it. If not, then try building something great, like try building something, different softwares or different services that is exposed to internet somehow, that people can use, and that will help you to increase your learning as well as showcase your projects. And yeah, yeah. And yeah, if you want, you can just if I think you are in final year, you have a bit of time, look into the certification path. I think that would be a nice touch to your resume, I would say. Great. More questions? Any doubts up till now? I mean, a lot of us if we are early professions or like the still in college, a lot of us have a lot of different doubts. I think this is the good platform, I would say, to clear up your doubts. Like whatever it may be, depending on like how to find a job or how to make career into cloud computing, things like that. I mean, these kind of questions pop to me as well when I was in engineering college, but at that point of time I didn't have this kind of mentoring platform. So so I have to do it. I have to Google it myself. But yeah, if you have any doubts and questions, just you can ask. Okay, I think none of you guys are asking anything. I would also ask you like to fill the feedback form. I think that is necessary. That would be good to for conducting future sessions, I would say. So yeah.
All right. If yeah, we got some responses on the feedback form as well.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, thanks for all the feedback, because this will help us for understanding like what's the requirement is and how we perform and how we can make ourselves better. So thanks for doing that. Last final call. Any questions?
It's fine, Pragar. If there are no
Yeah,
questions, we'll probably close the session, and I'll see you guys in another session tomorrow.
yeah. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. Bye.